I was privileged to be part of this outstanding group. Among this group was a person that we memorialize tonight, a man who I am proud to say was a very dear chaver of mine, who epitomized a true Ben Torah, a Baal Chesed, and a man of Yashrus, Reb Chaim Levi Dovid Levine, Zechreina Levracha. Dave, as he was affectionately called by us, had a major influence on us through his exemplary character. David was always looked upon by all as a leader, someone to emulate, and a friend who was always there for you. David always had Hatzolah in this very fiber of his being. He stayed involved in the organization as long as he was physically able to. This is part of my script, but I'm going to step aside and just talk about the beginning of Hatzolah. I remember many years ago, it's probably about 30 years?
Yep.
About 30 years. Hatzolah started with a sign. There was a sign hung up in the bulletin board at 617 6th Street. All those that want to join the Hatzolah group should please write your name here. I think about 10 people at that time wrote their name. 9 people, she said. Why'd I go dead?
No, you're fine, you're fine. We hear you loud. It was too loud.
Too loud is no good. No,
Okay.
a lot of Hatzolah guys are annoying.
So she had corrected me and says it's 9 members. And I remember exactly where this all took place. It was where Dr. Indish had his original office. I think what's the plaza called over there on Route 9 in your office, your old office? Yeah, Gittleman. Anyhow, it was the office of Reb Shia Baron, who Baruch Hashem at that time, a lot of younger lights were employed by him, and amongst them was Reb Meir Ribiat, and there was Reb Dovid Levine, and I remember just walking into this office. It was spread out. In those days, nobody knew what wires were, or transmitters, or repeaters. Who knew that name, repeater? I remember everything was spread out. Dovid Levine was on the floor connecting wires this way, and Meir and Shia was the expert, so-called expert with all the manuals. And I remember going on the rooftop of 617 6th Street and putting up the first antenna. That was an unbelievable event.
Morse code.
How befitting is it that we gather here tonight to inaugurate a much-needed ambulance for Hatzolah Li'ulei Nishmasai. This ambulance will be an extension of David's dedication and commitment to the Lakewood Kehillah to be there in their time of need. We also are here tonight to pay tribute to all the volunteers of Hatzolah who continued David's legacy, especially Ashakayach to the members of our neighborhood. First and foremost, Reb Shia Baron, who is now a paramedic for Hatzolah, and his co-founding member, Reb Meir Ribiat. Committee man, Reb Meir Lichtenstein. Reb Shmuel Mormon. Reb Avram Moshe Muller, who was also a paramedic. Reb Yaakov Schechter, P.A. Schechter, as he is known. And of course, the administrator of Hatzolah, Reb Mordechai Senerovitz. And last but not least, because his name starts with a Z, Rabbi Yaakov Zeit. Okay, that's it for this.
It's hard to follow Rabbi Trank, but I'll give it my best. Just want to say a short, quick part and share a few thoughts. In this week's parasha, Miketz, after hearing Yosef's interpretation of his dream, Pari tells Yosef, "You are the wisest man in all of Mitzrayim, Atati al beisi val picha yisha kol ami rak hakise egdol mimeka. Only the throne shall outrank you. Then, in the very next pasuk, Pari tells Yosef, Re'eh, Sati Yoscha al kol eretz Mitzrayim. See, I have placed you in charge of all Mitzrayim. The question is, what is this pasuk adding? What is it going to teach us? I heard a very interesting insight from Rabbi Frand, quoting Rav Shalom Shadran. Normally, after doing someone a favor, even the best of people have a tendency to remind people of the favor that they've done. However, the less one reminds a person of the favor he's done for them, the closer he is to being like a malach. In Sefer Shoftim, Parakid Gimel, in the Haftarah Parshas Nasai, we learn the story of the malach who appeared to Manoach and his wife announcing the birth of their son, Shimshon. After the long narration, when the malach first came to announce the birth to Manoach's wife, and then the malach's second appearance to repeat the message to Manoach himself, the Navi writes, V'lo yosaf oid malach Hashem v'hiroi al Manoach v'lishtoi, oz yoda Manoach ki malach Hashem hu. The malach didn't continue anymore to appear to Manoach and his wife. Then Manoach realized that he was a malach of Hashem. What does this mean, that now he knew? It means that the fact that the malach stopped coming back to them proved that he was a malach. Had he been a human being, he surely would have come back after Shimshon was born to remind them his involvement, knew how's the boy doing, his upsharm, bar mitzvah, throughout his life. He'd always come back to make an appearance and make sure they always felt the debt of gratitude. The behavior of a malach is the far end of the spectrum. We cannot be malachim. But if we want to know the opposite end of the spectrum, the zero on the scale, it's here in Parshas Miketz. That is what the pasuk is saying. Without any subtleness or social grace, Pari is clobbering over Yosef's head. Don't forget, I'm the one who made you who you are. Always remember that. I think it's safe to say that when you talk about this spectrum, Hatzolah, the people of Hatzolah are right up there. Some of the earliest and most vivid memories I have of my father, Elva Shalom, are connected to Hatzolah. I remember my father going out on calls at all hours of the day and night, and sometimes not coming back until after Chakras in the morning. I remember my father jumping up from Shabbos and Yom Tov Sudas to go to a call. Just to demonstrate how far back I remember being at a Yom Tov Suda with my father, my family, and the Sakachevsky family. And the two of them getting a call and running off to the races. I remember people coming frantically into the house with all sorts of medical things that needed attention, and regardless of what was going on, my father stopping everything and tending to what they needed. As a child, growing up, there was a pride in having a father who was an Hatzolah. My tati drives an ambulance. My tati has a walkie-talkie. My tati is cooler than your tati. As we grew up, this pride took on different meanings and shapes. At some point you realize what the personal sacrifice really is. You realize that there are many other fathers out there doing the same thing. You realize that there's a whole organization out there whose sole purpose is to help people and to save lives. What you don't have are Hatzolah members running around reminding people of the favors they did for them. After saving someone's life, you don't have a Hatzolah member come back and say, "No, so how's life? It's not for me, you wouldn't have one." Obviously, when the situation calls for it, Hatzolah will go back to make sure everything is okay and to offer any necessary follow-up advice and instruction. That's a whole different thing. So in this way, Hatzolah as an organization and as individual members are kind of like malachim, doing their work without looking for any particular recognition.